see you.
Good to see you again, David. Please introduce yourself to our audience.
So thank you all for coming out. My name is David Dylan Thomas, and I'm the writer and director of White Meat Appetizer.
Yeah! This was a fresh meat spin on a history full of Black horror. I know that you are such an educator, such a fan and an educator of the genre, a connoisseur, if you will. And I'm so excited that you brought this buried American history to the modern day with a vertical. And I am so excited to tell you that you won the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Short Film in Horror. Woo! Woo!
Sorry, I love getting awards. I had to. That's awesome. Thank you so much.
As well as the Filmmakers Award for Outstanding Writing by David Dylan Thomas. Woo! Woo!
Thank you. Oh, seriously, that's amazing. Thank you. I'm so happy.
So Appetizer is a proof of concept that you gave us so much. If you guys don't know, and I'm going to let you ask all the questions you want, but there is an entire podcast dedicated to the white meat culture in general, like the lore, the new lore of white meat. You are basically, would you call yourself a historian of Black horror?
Not in front of the actual historians of Black horror, but yes, in any other room, yeah. No, I actually do give lectures about this stuff.
Yeah, you are a speaker. Give us a little sampling, if you. I'm gonna keep going with the puns. A little sampler platter of some of the themes, the titles you talk about, like if somebody wanted to see your roster, wanted to come to a conference. What are some of the things that you've talked about to mass audiences of people?
So I should say, and this has been lovely being in LA, I always love coming out here, and yesterday I got to talk to a guy named Xavier Burgess, who is the director of a movie called Horror Noir, which if you're even remotely interested in the history of Black horror, you should watch it. It's amazing. And a lot of the films I would mention, it'll be easier for you to just watch that and write down the titles because it's a lot of the same stuff. But a lot of what I get into and what's relevant here is movies like White Zombie from 1932, which is basically the first zombie movie, and for about 30 years, zombies were not flesh eaters, they were slaves. They were people brought back from the dead to do labor for free. So White Zombie has Bela Lugosi as Murder Legendre. This is the actual name he's given, raising people from the dead to work on his plantation. So the history of zombies and the history of slavery, of exploitation, especially the history of Haiti, is very intertwined. So that's one of the things that I get into when I talk about this. And the other thing I do want to note is there's a movie coming out in October called Black Zombie, which is a wonderful documentary about exactly that piece of history and how it affects us today. So.
Like when you just said that, my mind went back to the Haitian kind of voodoo practices of performing. They were basically performing spells of sorts onto people. Was it a kind of hypnotization to basically make them living slaves?
Yeah, and as with all things, a lot of things get reinterpreted by the West in a way that's beneficial to them. So there are, in fact, perfectly valid. I even hate having to put it in those terms, but you sort of have to, because there's these assumptions people have about voodoo, about African religion, that for the most part has been portrayed in American cinema as something evil. And every now and then, though, you will get depictions like you see in Sinners, where hoodoo is kind of shown as a positive force. So all of which to say that there are some practices. When I went to the Voodoo Museum in New Orleans, which I highly recommend you do, I read about practices where in order to get in touch with your ancestors, we might give you a drug that puts you into a kind of death-like state, and then even put you in a grave and start to put some dirt on you. And the idea is this allows you to commune with your ancestors. The drug also makes you kind of compliant, so you can kind of see where you might go from there. A Westerner might look at that and say, hey, that'd be a great way to make slaves. That becomes a legend that that you even use as almost like psychological warfare to the people who are serving you. Hey, even if you die, you're still gonna belong to me. So that's a lot of what my work and the work of a lot of these historians tries to untangle, is to say that there are some legitimate African practices, and then there are things that the West kind of layers on them to make them seem bad, to justify their bad behavior. So that's kind of the space I'm playing in when I make horror like this.
Yes. You mentioned Sinners. We're also getting a little bit of a Sugar Hill, right?
Oh my God, you remember Sugar Hill?
Yes. I want to know, what are some of the key references that you might have borrowed from some of your favorite movies that you kind of Easter egged, maybe, if anything, into this movie? And then tell me, what aspects of this do you think are uniquely yours, maybe an auteur signature that you would love to be known for as you continue your magnificent career in this genre?
Oh, it's funny you said it. So the Easter eggs, as I made it, and I think this is true of any filmmaker creator, as you work, that's how you find your voice, is by doing the work. And so I start to find things, and I'm learning that my concerns are very much about using horror, or really any genre, as a vehicle for making you excited about learning history. Not just trying to tell it to you, but saying, hey, who is Ona Judge? Why is that name there? Or wait, Quakers owned slaves? What? I want to get you to Google, right? So the same way you might see something in an MCU movie and you're like, is that important? I'm going to Google that. Like, I'm trying to do that for history here. So that, in a way, is a signature. I'm just learning about myself. But Sugar Hill, definitely a frame of reference. So for those of you who don't know, there's a blaxploitation film called Sugar Hill, which is amazing. It's basically a black woman gets revenge on she uses the word honkies, which I fully endorse, the honkies who killed her boyfriend. And instead of just going out and shooting them, she reaches out to a relative who knows the dark arts. And they raise zombies who used to be slaves. This is the only other zombie movie I know of where the zombies were in fact enslaved people, and the zombies do the killing. It is very 70s, but very fun. So I highly recommend you check it out.
I'm gonna ask one more question, maybe, if you guys don't have any questions. I bet you will. But I wanted to talk, because I've only brushed the surface. You have so much media that you can digest about when it comes to this movie. I didn't even write these, they're just coming to me. About this movie and the future, the feature in the future that you're going to be making. I want to talk a little bit about your manifesto.
Ooh,
your manifesto, which was a document of principles that you wanted to abide by when producing your movie. Fair practices. Kind of speak to our audience of filmmakers about what that was and why it was so important to you.
So I wrote the feature first, and while I was writing it, some of you may remember, especially in this town, you may remember that IATSE almost went on strike. And IATSE, for those who don't know, is the union that covers basically everything on a movie set except for the director, the writer, the cast. And so while they were leading up to that potential strike, they were putting on Instagram all these horror stories of people working on the crew who would be like, I go home and I basically have to decide if I'm gonna sleep or eat because I gotta be right back at the set, or I'm falling asleep at the wheel because I've just worked 20 hours. And I didn't want to do that. So we literally wrote a manifesto. And it's literally called the White Meat Manifesto, and it starts out by saying, White Meat is a movie about the abuse of labor. It would be the worst irony if we abused labor to make it. So here are the things. It's sort of like, people have those things like In This House We. Like, it's an In This House We for the movie. So it's like, this is going to be a place of healing. We are going to pay people fair wages. We are not going to work them to death. You can literally just go to whitemeatmovie.com/manifesto if you want to read it. It's very short, but it is very much like, we want this to be a human set. We want this space to be pro-human. We don't want to exploit you. We want to do what we can to make everybody feel whole. And I will tell you, the best compliment I got after shooting was more than one member of the crew coming up to me and telling me this is one of the best set experiences I've ever had. Like, I couldn't be happier. Like, even if the film didn't turn out, like, that alone would have been like, oh my God, I'm so happy.
Yes, I love hearing that. I would like to turn to the audience to see if anybody has any questions about White Meat Appetizer. Go ahead, right here in the middle.
What motivated the decision for the 9x16? And if you do the full budget one, would it also be fully 9x16, or would that be widescreen?
Thanks, great question. So I didn't want to make a short. I spent like 4 years researching and writing the feature, so I'm like, okay, let's go get some money. And then I was like, hey, no one believes I can make this because I've really only made underground pictures up till now. So it's like, let's make something that could convince an investor that, we can do this for real. And then there was a contest coming up, and I remembered this idea I had for a skit, like a Key and Peele style skit called Extreme Sports for Black People. And the way it works is, if extreme sports for white people is like, I'm gonna jump out of a helicopter and ski down a hill, because that gets my adrenaline up, it's like, okay, what would get your adrenaline up for a black person? Oh, go to Starbucks and don't order anything. Oh my God, it's so tense. And it would be like Wide World of Sports, like there'd be commentators like, oh my God, he hasn't even gotten water, So I had that in my head, and then I was like, oh, what if I just use that for a short bet, and then just have the zombie attack happen during that? And once that all fit together, it was like, well, okay, this is probably gonna be like a guy on TikTok or YouTube, like he's gonna be a content creator. And this is gonna be his thing. He's gonna go to a bunch of different establishments. So that's where we got the 916 from. I think the feature I've always conceived of as a full like Panavision, like super widescreen. I watched In the Mouth of Madness the other night, and it's like full Panavision, like super widescreen. I'm like, yes, that's what I want to do. Funny thing though, I found out. So how many people here know who Bayard Rustin is? All right, this is a guy who was basically the Martin Luther King's right-hand man, organized the March on Washington. He, in his youth, would go from establishment to establishment with a white friend and do exactly this. He would test to see if they got treated different. I found out later, I'm like, oh crap, I had no idea. So that was fun.
Can I get another audience question right in the back there?
So back to the vertical, what did you shoot on?
It was beautiful.
Yeah, so first off, I had to fight a bit. Because everyone was like, are you sure you want to do vertical? Are you sure? And it's funny, the more they pushed back, the more I'm glad they pushed back, because it got me to think, do I really want to, is there a really good reason? And there were a lot. And there was a bit of like, hey, I really like in horror when I can't see what's just around the corner. And when you do vertical, there's even less that you can see, right? So you can kind of have fun with that, like when we were under the table. And to be honest, there's a lot of violence that happens today that 9/16 is how we see it. When we see these horrible things happening to black men and women on the streets, it's usually through 16:9, so it was resonant. So I talked to my cinematographer, Jalen, and we tested, okay, we want it to look like 16:9, but does that mean we get like a pro camera and then just block out the sides? Do we do this? And what we discovered was that just an iPhone 16 Pro, that's what we used. Like I literally bought one and returned it. So pro tip, you have 90 days to return your shit to Amazon. Take advantage of that.
One more question?
Sorry, this is also about, so was the actor holding the phone, or was this?
Yes, so the way it works is, and this was really kind of fun process-wise. So when the camera is pointed at Randy, that is Davon, the actor, holding it. When the camera is pointed outward, that is Jalen holding it. And that meant that Jalen was an actor. While he's shooting, he is Randy. And so we had a rehearsal with the two of them where we kind of walked through, okay, now you're under the table. What are you feeling? Like Jalen, the DP, what are you feeling? How is that changing how you're holding the camera, different from earlier when you were just sitting back? Like we really went through all the acting things you do with the DP, which was really fun.
That is fantastic. David, do you have any last message for our audience when it comes to the future of your production or the future of production in general?
Yes, so as I said, we are hoping to make this into a feature. If you go to whitemeatmovie.com, you can find our Insta, you can get some merch, you can find the podcast, all those good things, and we would love your support, because what we would like to be able to do is walk into an investor's room and they already know who we are. So the more of you who know who we are, the more likely that is to happen. And the other thing I'll say is, honestly, like he says in the movie, learn your history. Black history in general, but Black history is under attack right now. So the more you can learn it, the more it fucks up their plans. So please do that.
Thank you so much, David, for gracing us with this film. It was delectable. I got that last one in there. Can I please have the filmmakers of Check Please come down to the front? Oh, please. I want to ask questions to Check Please. Well, looks like we're wrapping early. Guys, thank you so much for coming to the first block in the first room of Phyla. I hope you enjoy the rest of the blocks. We have so many good films to show you. Look at the schedule, see what tickles your fancy, and please come back for more. We've got one more block in this room, and we've got another set of Q&As going to be done by Christian L. Scott. I am so excited. It is going to be the time of your life. Thank you, guys. Enjoy the movies.